Hey, welcome to Build&AI. I'm Nia, your AI learning guide. Let's get into it.
Hey everyone, welcome. So today, we've got an absolutely awesome explainer lined up for you. We are going to look at exactly how RequireAuth takes clunky, outdated web navigation and transforms it into this fluid, totally seamless single-page application experience. If you've ever wondered how modern web apps feel so lightning fast and smooth, well, you're in the right place. Let's get started. Here's the roadmap for our time together today. First, we'll look at the single-page application problem, then move into the foundation and basic navigation. After that, we'll tackle shared layouts and nested routes, navigating with router hooks, and finally, wrap things up with protected routes and authentication. All right, let's jump right into section 1, the single-page application problem. Okay, picture this. You're browsing a site, you've got stuff in your shopping cart, or maybe you're halfway through filling out a super long, complex form. If the developer used the old manual way of navigating, like just changing the window location, boom, the browser is forced to do a total page reload. It is totally jarring. The app literally forgets all of its in-memory state, you lose all your form data, and honestly, the whole point of a single-page application just goes out the window. But when we use RequireAuth, the URL changes seamlessly. Only the specific parts of the screen that need to change actually update, and the best part, your app's state is perfectly preserved. Moving on to section 2, foundation and basic navigation. So if we want to build this fluid experience, the absolute first step, the foundation we have to pour, is the BrowserRouter. You can think of this kind of like the outer walls of your house. It's the piece that wires React up to the browser's native history API. You've got to set this up right at the main entry point of your project. Because while without it wrapping your app, absolutely none of the RequireAuth magic we're about to talk about is going to work. It is literally the core engine for the whole operation. Okay, so the foundation is poured. Now, how do we draw up the floor plan? Well, once BrowserRouter is running, you need to define your navigation rules. That's where the routes component comes in. It's the container that holds all your rules in one centralized place. And inside of that, you've got individual route components. Think of each route as a specific room in your house. It literally just pairs a URL path with the React component that should pop up when a user goes to that URL. So, if someone navigates to /about, RequireAuth instantly unlocks and opens the About room. Now, here's a really cool secret you'd only spot if you were digging around in the browser's DevTools Network tab. If you use a regular old native HTML anchor tag to link around your own app, you are secretly defeating the entire purpose of your single-page architecture. Why? Because it triggers a full hard page reload. It forces the browser to fetch fresh HTML, fresh CSS, fresh JavaScript all over again and completely nukes your state. But enter the link component. Link creates this incredibly convincing illusion of navigating. It tells the matching route to render, but it does it with 0 new HTML requests. All your state stays perfectly intact. All right, on to section 3, shared layouts and nested routes. As your app gets bigger, you're obviously going to want things like headers or sidebars to just stay put across different pages, right? That is exactly where the outlet component shines. Think of the outlet as like a dynamic picture frame or a structural slot inside your main layout. It essentially guarantees that your sidebars and navigation menus stay locked exactly where they are, while only the content inside the outlet actually swaps out based on whatever the current URL is. And this is really the magic of nested routes. It leans perfectly into React's natural love for composition. By pairing a persistent parent layout with that dynamic outlet we just talked about, you completely eliminate nasty code duplication. Say you want to add a brand new settings view to a user dashboard. You literally just plug in a new child route. You don't have to touch or copy-paste the surrounding dashboard code ever again. It's a huge time saver and saves you from so many painful refactoring headaches down the line. Let's keep building. Section 4, navigating with router hooks. With the structural walls up, it's time to stock our developer tool build. There are 3 key behavioral hooks you're honestly going to find yourself using all the time. First up, useNavigate. This one lets you redirect users purely from your code, like after a certain action, rather than waiting for them to click a link. Second, useParams. This lets you read dynamic segments straight from the URL, which is absolutely perfect for grabbing things like a specific user ID. And lastly, useLocation. This hook gives you access to the current URL and, super importantly, any hidden state data that was passed along during the navigation. So let's actually put this into a really relatable real-world scenario. Let's say your user is on their profile page, they make some edits, and they hit save. Behind the scenes, you can use useNavigate to just instantly shoot them back to the main dashboard as soon as the save is done. At the same time, you might have used useParams to figure out exactly which user ID they were editing in the first place. Then, when they land back on the dashboard, you can use useLocation to read the state you passed along the way and maybe pop up a nice little profile saved successfully alert right on their screen. And now for the climax of our explainer, Section 5, Protected Routes and Authentication. In any real-world app, you're going to have a really stark contrast between public areas and private data. Public routes, like your homepage, maybe your login screen, those are open for the whole world to see. But protected routes, things like a user dashboard or billing settings, those have to be heavily guarded. Basically, if a user isn't logged in, they absolutely should not be allowed inside those rooms. To actually build these locks, we use what's called the RequireAuth pattern. It's essentially a custom guard component that you wrap right around your protected routes. It checks, hey, is there an authenticated user right now? If yes, awesome, it renders the protected content. If not, it immediately kicks them over to the login route using a navigate component. Oh, and here's a massive pro tip. When you use that navigate component, make sure you use the replace property. What that does is it replaces the current entry in the browser's history stack. That way, if the user hits the back button, they don't get trapped in some maddening infinite loop trying to load a protected route they don't have access to. So the really crucial point here is creating a totally seamless user experience. It's not just about booting a user out to a login screen. When our RequireAuth guard redirects the user, it actually captures the exact route they were trying to reach in the first place, and it saves it right there in the navigation state. Then, when the user finally punches in their password and logs in successfully, the login component reads that saved location and just magically drops them right back exactly where they originally intended to go. It's just a brilliant, totally frictionless flow for the user. Now, obviously, while you're building this out, you might just be faking or simulating the authentication locally. But if you design your user state as a strongly typed object, or even just null, right from day one, your RequireAuth guard becomes totally future-proof. Seriously. When you're finally ready to wire up a real backend service like Firebase Auth, all you have to do is swap out your local state for the Firebase listener. The whole routing architecture and all of your protected route logic, it won't require a single internal code change. How great is that? Okay, let's bring this all together. We've seen exactly how each tool we talked about today solves a specific piece of the single-page navigation puzzle. Browser sets our foundation. Link prevents those awful state-destroying page reloads. Outlet makes our layouts perfectly reusable. Our hooks give us deep programmatic control over the journey. And finally, RequireAuth keeps our users' private data securely locked down. So I want to leave you with this final, kind of provocative thought. RequireRouter really proves that modern web navigation is ultimately just an incredibly convincing, state-preserving illusion. But now that you have the architectural tools to control this illusion yourself, how are you going to use them to design seamless, magical journeys in your very next project? Thanks so much.
And that's a wrap for today. If this lesson was helpful, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you never miss a new episode. We drop 3 new lessons every single week, all designed to help you learn, build, and launch with AI. Share this with someone who's on the same journey, and I will see you in the next one.